Hi students, welcome to Bayo Academy, where we make agricultural economics simple, practical, and easy to understand. Since we are now in the rainy season, let's begin with something happening all around us. Imagine a rice farmer who has 5 hectares of fertile lowland ready for cultivation. He has purchased improved rice seeds. He also bought fertilizer, herbicides, and other input necessary for cultivation of his rice. He has also employed laborers who will carry out cultural practices in the crop production, right from seed pre-treatment, from seed protection techniques, from land preparation. Those laborers are also responsible for land clearing, for tillage, and then watering nursery in case, for fertilizer application, for mulching, for pest and disease control, up to harvest, and finally to storage. And now the farmer begins to ask himself some important questions. The questions are, he says, if I employ more laborers, will my rice yield increase? Another question is, if I apply more fertilizer, will I harvest more paddy rice? Okay. Again, another interrogation is, if I buy better machinery, will my production improve? So these questions are not just farming questions, but they are production function questions. They are what? Production function questions, rather. So in today's lesson, we'll understand what production function is and why it is one of the most important concepts in agri-economics. Now, what is production function? Production function or production function. So production function is the relationship between inputs and outputs in production, used in production. And let's write the definition clearly here. Production function is a technical relationship between inputs used in production and the outputs produced. Technical relationship between inputs used in production and the outputs produced, given, or let's say assuming, the level of technology remains the same. Assuming the level of technology remains what? The same. So production function is a technical relationship between inputs used in production and the output produced, given or assuming the level of technology remains the same. And now one may ask, or let's go further first. And economics express this relationship as mathematically as Q, capital Q, is equal to F of LA, L, K, and M. Okay, this means quantity of rice yield. In this case, for our rice farmer, in the example above, quantity of rice is a function of land, labor, capital, and management. Economics usually express production function as this: quantity of rice yield is equal to, or depends on, you know, land, labor, capital, and management. These four are the inputs of production, or what is called factors of production, right? Resources of production, or production factors, production resources, input of production, land, labor, capital, and management. Now, one may be wondering, why is production function technical relationship? Why it is called technical relationship? Why is the relationship technical? The reason why the relationship is technical, it is because it is with physical transformation of the input, physical transformation of the input, or engineering transformation, engineering relationship between input and output, right? For example, you know, a farmer technical a farmer, for example, a farmer may have, you know, 5 hectares of fertile lowland, for example, in the above example, 5 hectares of fertile lowland, and then 20 bags of rice, 20 bags of fertilizer. After 20 bags of fertilizer, he has herbicide, and then he has, and good management. So these together, when transformed, when physical transformation takes place, this turns into what is called, your cube. Is that understood? Production function is technical because it employs physical relationship between the inputs and output, without considering what? Without considering, costs, prices, or profit. Not talking about cost, prices, or profit, because these cost, prices, and profits are economic relationship. What economic relationship? Technical does not mean technology like computers or smartphones. It refers to physical or engineering relationship between input and output. For example, 5 hectares of land, you know, 20 bags of fertilizer, 10 laborers, etc. And combining this, it gives an output. Maybe at the end of the day, the farmer may harvest 25 tons of rice. Now, technical relationship means how much output can be produced from a given combination of input. It does not consider how much the fertilizer cost, or how much is the remuneration payment for workers, or how much is the selling price of rice, for example. These are what economic relationship. Production function deals with physical technical relationship between inputs used in production and the output produced, given or assuming the level of technology remains the same. Right? Now, talking about land land is the natural resource for production, right? In our example above, the farmer has 5 hectares of fertile lowland where the land is cultivated. The size of the land, fertility of the soil, water availability and suitability of the land. All these factors together influence or affect the quantity of rice produced. Right? Now, apart from land, the next input in production is what? Labor. So this refers to human efforts, right? Human efforts used in production. All human efforts involved in production. Workers who clear the land, who carry out land preparation, who prepare the nursery, and then who transplant seedling, who apply fertilizer, who control weeds, pest and disease control, and finally who carry out harvesting of the paddy rice. Without labor, production cannot take place. Right? We are done with labor. Now, capital. capital. Now this capital includes all man-made resources to produce rice, improved rice seeds, fertilizer, herbicides, and then all these sprayers, tractors, mechanical mechanical equipment, all these machineries that belong to the farmer, and other simple farm tools. All these are categorized under what? Under capital. These resources help increase productivity and make farming more efficient. Right? Now the last one, management. Management is the most important, is also the very highly salient, most important, highly salient resource of production. This is the farmer's ability to organize and coordinate all other factors of production. Okay, his ability to organize, his technical know-how to organize capital, land, labor, is what is called management. All other factors of production. A good farmer knows when to plan. Of course, if you are a good farmer, you know when to plan, when not to plan, how much fertilizer to apply. You cannot apply 6 bags of NPK in a small piece of land that can only accommodate, that can only needs like 2 bags of NPK. If you are doing that, you are overusing your resources. Now a good farmer knows when to control weeds and the best time to harvest. Of course, you cannot harvest your food before they are right. Even if, for example, you have two farmers with the same piece of land, maybe 2 hectares, the same labor, the same capital, but the one with better management, a skilled farmer, is likely to obtain higher yields. This is no doubt. This is what? No doubt. And then so why is the production function, permit me to use this as acronym, production function important? Why is production function important? So the reason why production function is important is because it helps farmers to make sound economic decisions, right? It helps farmers to make sound economic decisions. For example, it answers important questions like, should I apply more fertilizer? Should I employ more labor? Should I buy better equipment, that is machinery, which will increase in one input actually lead to increase in the output, that is rice. Okay, and then if you understand production function extremely well, it will enable us as farmers to use optimum, to make use of our resources efficiently, to be able to maximize profits without necessary waste, maximize profit and minimize cost. Under production function, in next video, I think there needs a video on input output relationship. Input output relationship, that is factor product relationship. Factor product relationship, a very important topic in agri-economics. Okay, input output relationship or factor product relationship. There is also product product relationship or factor factor relationship. Some are applicable to agriculture and some are not. Now to summarize, production function explains how inputs are transformed into outputs. Mathematically, we write production function as Q is a function of LA, L, K, and M. That means quantity of output produced depends on land, labor, capital, and management. So, when this resources are considered efficiently, when they are combined, when they are mixed efficiently, the farmer achieves higher productivity and better returns. If you find this video helpful, like, share, and subscribe to Bayo Academy. Thank you for watching Bayo Academy.